anything anybody has done completely and just go in there and just do what they've done, because I don't know the ins and outs of it. But once we pulled it apart, we spent about a month and a half pulling it apart, and from the verbiage to how we saw things. I wanted to make it easier for players and coaches. So 85% of what we do is still the same. Okay, man, there's going to be some slants and some twists, and turns in that deal. But what I can tell you is they're having a good time because they understand it. I'm having a good time because at the end of the day, okay, we're adding some variables that can make us very, very unique in this conference.
How difficult is it to deconstruct something like that and rebuild it? When you're describing that process, how difficult is that?
You know what? It's like it's really like a resto mod. Man, I've got a 1964 International Scout, and it took 3 years to build. So, like, I'm a deconstruct guy. So, when you pull something apart, you got to make sure that you got everything in place when you start to put it back together. But here's the deal: when you got smart mechanics, when you got smart coaches and really good players, the thing that you got to do is make sure that you don't put them in a situation where you make them play slow or think about it. I've had to do a lot of thinking and studying, and so like for me, the greatest part of the learning has been on me, not them. So as we put it back together, I've just put my slant and twist on things that I understand, okay, and I've allowed those guys to weigh in on it so that at the end of the day they feel comfortable. If they feel good, I feel good. And I think it's that simple. It's not about ego, man. It's about the end product. Okay, it's not about being right. It's about getting it right.
So you're restoring cars?
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. I DJ. I restore
I
cars.
do DJ, yeah.
I do a lot of stuff, man. At the end of the day, man, I'm a good old country boy, man, with a lot of hobbies. But the thing that I love is ball.
What don't you do then? If you're DJing and restoring cars, I feel like there's not a lot you don't do.
Yes, my daughters. I think they'll tell you. But now, seriously, I think at the end of the day, for me, it's been about the greater part of the growth and really getting acclimated to Stillwater. And this place is a great place. You talk about work-life balance, probably as good as I've had since I've been in Stanford. And I think that proved me pretty well. So I like where I'm at. I like what we're doing, and now what we got to do is just continue to finish this chapter. So my belief is this: the way you finish one chapter is the way you start the next. So we need to finish this one strong so we can go into the summer, make sure we make headway, do it all over again, and do it one more time when we start fall camp.
Derek,
Maybe if you
4
were,
years ago, we asked Jim Knowles if he was out of his mind, because at that time the Big 12 score, the score of a typical Big 12 game was like 50 to 48.
Right.
How much better you think a defensive coordinator new to the league is positioned to succeed, because it looks like things are at least sane offensively around this league?
Yeah, I think when you look at this conference scores were the best in the country. So with that being said, you got to evaluate the talent, okay, as well as the level of football. And this is a high level of football. I think what's extremely important is that scoring offenses aren't new to me. I mean, when you play against Ole Miss and you get a chance to play against some of the schools that we played against in that conference, scoring is scoring. I think the bigger thing is, how do we keep the score down? How do we stop the run? And how do we, put ourselves in manageable situations? And I think that's what we're looking at. That's why, you got to deconstruct some football and then put things together, man, so that it fits this football team. I'm trying to make sure that we don't put the stress on one group and that we move the stress around. And when you do that, you have an opportunity to play really good football because it doesn't fall on one person.
I'm asking you about the conference. Is it maybe unfair for me to do that because you've got to figure out what you got
Absolutely.
to work with first, that kind of thing?
Yeah, like I said when I was talking about this in the beginning, it's about learning us. I really don't care about the conference. I'll deal with the conference like when the time comes. Like summer will be here.
Right.
I'll get a chance to see, because you got some new coordinators in this conference too. You got some new coaches, some new coordinators, some guys that I faced before. I faced Sark a number of times. So with that being said, it's about us now, and we'll move to Big 12. Like as soon as we get to the summertime, that's all I'll be doing is studying the Big 12 all over again, because I'll get a chance to see some spring games and see what changes some guys have made.
I know you did it as a head coach, but have you been a roving defensive coordinator before? And how do you like the ability to move around and check out the different groups?
It's fine. All these guys, like I said, the experience of the defensive staff allows you to do it. Some days I'm with G. Rich and the Leos. Other days, man, I'm spending with Joe Bob, just just working on backer play. I rarely go into the secondary room because when it's all said and done, man, there's 4 or 5 guys in there. So I think I make that room extremely crowded. But it's been fun just to sit back and be able to watch guys, jump in with guys like when they need it, and be able to be a resource, for these guys. So I mean, if we are shorthanded in a situation where like the D line, sometimes we got a lot of D linemen, right? So I'm taking some of the Leos and we're splitting up some of the work, but that part of it's been fun because it's allowing me to do what I've always wanted to do, which is touch every facet of what we do when we practice. So
You told